I'm really excited to talk about, and that is the absolute nightmare that was, past tense as of today,
Yeah.
the Jane's Addiction reunion tour.
Yeah.
So Jane's Addiction has been notorious as far as just chaos on the road, very mercurial live performances when
Oh,
they're on.
substance abuse like crazy.
Oh yeah, everybody in that group has
Yeah.
been a junkie at one point or another. But they are very much an all or nothing situation. You're either about to see the greatest show you've ever seen, or you're about to see an absolute dumpster fire.
Right.
And this one's no exception. They had not been touring, and I think honestly, I think the holdout was Dave Navarro, because he got like long COVID and was like unable
Hmm.
to perform for a while. Like he
Huh.
was fully off the road, I think, for over a year.
Jeez.
So they kicked off this tour, and the wheels started to come off pretty early on. I think the night that things went super sideways, he drank 3 bottles of wine on stage
Right.
in full view of the
From the
audience.
bottle. Yeah.
Yes, and that's, while he was performing.
Right.
So there's no telling what was going on before that. So the big thing that made its way on social media was, not only was Perry Farrell kind of wandering around, kind of lost, missing cues, sounding nowhere
Bad.
close to what
Yeah.
is supposed to be, but it all came to a head when he walked over to Dave Navarro and literally, threw a punch at him.
Yeah.
At which point, all of the band basically stopped and piled on to Perry and
And it seemed like,
quietly,
frankly, it seemed like,
peacefully escorted off stage.
it seemed like they had a hard time getting him off stage. It seemed like that was some challenge
There were a
getting
couple.
the
There were a
guy.
couple extra shots that were put in,
Yeah. Yeah.
to get him to comply.
Yeah.
I will say this: Dave Navarro was not one of those. The look on his face made it pretty clear that like something was wrong. They all knew it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. There was no malice behind his eyes. He looked genuinely concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is how you kind of know, like, okay, something's up, and they know more about this than they're letting on. But the thing that really got me all bent out of shape was the way that they were trying to do damage control about it.
Mhm.
So this was a show in Boston. Perry hits Dave. The band walks off stage. The show is done. And then Perry's wife was trying to say that Perry was mad because the band was playing too loud and he couldn't hear.
His mix was bad. So he's going to beat up the guitar
So,
player?
yeah, listen, here's why that theory is bullshit. Because Dave Navarro is not in charge of Perry Farrell's monitor mix.
Right.
There's an entire staff of people who are in charge of that. And stage volume or not, if he was actually upset about the way that his monitor sounds, he had a person to yell at. And it wasn't Dave Navarro.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go on to YouTube, you can find dozens and dozens of rock stars yelling at monitor engineers about not being able to hear things.
Yeah.
You don't punch your guitar player.
That's the thing you don't do.
Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as they said that, I was like, okay, so none of this is real. And honestly, it made me realize, oh, this is actually much worse than
Yeah.
we thought it
Yeah.
was.
We're covering for something now. This is,
Yes.
yeah.
So there was rumors today that Dave Navarro had quit Jane's Addiction, but soon after that, both camps kind of released separate statements about things from their perspective. So the guys in Jane's that are not Perry Farrell, so Dave, Stephen Perkins, Eric Avery, were like, hey, given the situation, and they call it straight out that it was like the mental health issues of Perry Farrell, we have opted to cancel the rest of our tour. And soon after that, there was a statement that was released by Perry that was like, I take responsibility for the way things went. I am sorry. And that pretty much left it at that. But if you were hoping to see Jane's Addiction this year, it's not happening.
No.
Will they ever end up on stage again? Who knows? They're one of those bands. Can you think of another band that big that has broken up that often?
Spinal Tap, but apart from
Did they
them,
ever break up? There's just lots of lineup changes, new
yeah,
drummers.
I don't know.
They keep exploding.
Who knows? Yeah, but it feels like that. It feels like it's almost like a mockumentary story. Like it's
Well, yeah, and it's for all the same reasons. It's, you
Right.
know, it's egos and drugs
Yep.
and all of the things
Yep.
that make rock and roll rock and roll.
Yep.
But yeah, it's uh it's a lot, you know, and you don't want to see artists that had struggled with their demons and come out on the other side, fall back onto those into those bad habits. It's
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean?
aren't other people in the band? It's not a band I follow closely, but I have heard that other folks in that band are, years into sobriety and
Oh yeah.
like totally cleaned up, and so it's a shame to have that happen kind of right in front of them. Although who's gonna get it better than somebody who's deep in recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I mean, the other thing to consider is like Perry Farrell's 65.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like, you know, these are young kids. These are guys who have been in this a long time and should not be in that situation at that age.
Right.
So, I hope Perry gets the help that he needs
Yep.
and
Yep.
that they get a chance to work together again because I love Jane's Addiction, but I don't think I'm gonna get a chance to see him again.
Probably not.
We just have to be okay with it because that's just the way it goes.
It's rock and roll.
It is.